Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, April 9th. So this will be our last video for the week. You guys are off on Friday and on Monday, so there's nothing new I'm giving you, and today's activity basically is watching some videos regarding the fall of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War. So that's the content. I do want to take some time to go through the rubric with you for what we have to do for the test. As we talked about, the test will be a single DBQ with 5 documents, and so we have a little bit more information. So I think it's worthwhile to spend some time going through this. I'm going to be sharing this with you as well, and the thing we have to remember is we also have a month to prepare for this. So I feel very good about where we're going with this. Our skills are pretty good at this point. We obviously need to get better, and we need to continue to devote some time to content review and knowing the facts of history. And we'll do that. So I have some ideas about how we're going to do it. My AP Classroom offers a pretty good chance to practice so that you can do it on a computer or on your Chromebook. Albert as well. So anyway, regarding the rubric, so as you see here, the rubric is, instead of 7 points, it's now 10 points. The thesis and the context are the same. Again, we flip it. We do context first and then thesis. That nothing has changed there, and we've had an awful lot of practice on that. This next section is where things begin to change, and it's pretty straightforward for us. So instead of what we used to talk about 5 documents, now we need to do. We used to talk about 6 documents. Now we need to talk about 4. And to earn this in this 3-point section, you need to, what the phrase is, describe 4 documents and use them in your argument. So if you see on the bottom of this last section here, to earn 3 points, the response must accurately describe rather than simply quote. So again, I don't want you to quote ever the content from at least 4 documents. In addition, the response must use the content of the documents to support an argument in response to the prompt. So one of the kind of tweaks that we're going to have to do as we go through this is begin sort of what I'll call as grouping documents. Documents 1 and 3 go with paragraph A. Documents 2, 4, and 5 go with paragraph B or C or whatever you want to do it. So that you can, just by that nature, you can get it to support. If you remember the phrase, I use this with the A-push guys. I don't know if I talked to you about it, but under the old system, I encourage students not to let the documents drive the essay, because so often you fall into the trap where you're just responding to the documents. With this format, we kind of need, maybe we don't necessarily want the documents to drive, but they want to at least guide us, be our GPS, so to speak, to use a bad metaphor. But we're going to have to rely a little bit on the documents a little bit more to achieve these 3 points. So again, describing, and here we're going to rely really heavily on that handout I gave you, the CAP handout, in terms of phrasing. In document 1, which is a picture of something, the picture is showing us blank, sort of language like that. We'll get into the CAP, the sourcing, in just a little bit. So that's pretty straightforward. I think we can all do that very, very well. And right now, we're looking, you're trying to get the number we're really looking for, I think, is 6. I'm not 100% sure on that. Um, 6 or I think 6 will get us by. Will get us to at least a 3. Um, I can imagine there's going to be a lot of. I don't even know what I want to imagine with this, but I think 6 is a very doable number. Just like in the old system of 4, we wanted to get to a 4. Now we want to get to a 6, and I think they make it accessible enough. So that's the first part, the evidence section. Again, we're doing 4 of the 5 documents. I would recommend doing all 5 for safety's sake or time's sake. And you have to describe them without quoting and use them to support your argument. So if you basically stopped right there and just used the documents as an answer to a statement, a thesis that you're making, you're sitting at like 5 points. If you get context, you get a thesis, and you do this. Obviously, we need to go a little bit beyond that. So here is an opportunity, I think, that allows us to go beyond that, and that's evidence beyond the documents. So to earn evidence beyond the document point, you need to describe evidence, and it must use more than a phrase or a reference. So that is a sentence or 2. It must be different from the evidence used to earn the point for contextualization. Okay, so there we have to know, and this is one of the things about the 40 and the 20 questions that are really good, is that the choices that you make are really, really important. How am I going to contextualize this? How am I going to use this evidence beyond the documents? A lot of this is planning, is pre-writing stuff. And again, with 45 minutes, you got to be thinking very, very quickly. And it also leads to the fact that, although this is, I mentioned this on Monday, although this is technically open note, you got to know this stuff. You're not going to have time to madly scramble looking stuff up and going back to your notes. I suppose you could have big posters all around your room of stuff, which I just had that idea. I don't know, but it needs to be accessible to you very, very quickly, and it's usually right here. So there's an opportunity to gain 2 points on evidence beyond the documents. And one of the things that I'm probably different from other teachers is that I emphasize that content. If you think about all the stuff that we've been doing, it's been, yes, there's this larger thing, but there's also examples all the way through, and this is the examples. This is when all that stuff pays off for us. So there's 2 options for evidence beyond the documents. In terms of formatting this, I'm almost thinking as a separate paragraph, or as a separate section. You can certainly incorporate it into your essay if it works that way. But again, it has to relate to the question. It has to, be a part of something. You can't just put, some random talking about the Enlightenment when the question is about the Reformation, that kind of thing. And you know that. The other part is the sourcing point. And this is the CAP information, purpose, point of view, author, context of the document. So to get 1 point, you need to do a CAP of 1. However, they're offering a second point to do a CAP of 2, and then you can get 2 points there. And again, this is where we're going to rely on that CAP document. This is where I'm going to emphasize, and I'm going to check for the canned phrases that I gave you. The purpose of this there's phrases that would be something, as a socialist, Paul Proudhon has the viewpoint of blah, blah, that kind of thing. So it is going to be a little bit canned, so you're going to have to remember some of those phrases, but we're going to rely very, very heavily on that. So again, this is usually regarded as sort of the hardest part. And I want you to be able to earn this point. I know you can do it. It's just how do you phrase it so it's very, very clear for the readers. So that would be that. So that's 2 points there. And then the last one, which you're all very good at, is the so-called counter argument. Remember, it's not necessarily always a counter argument. If the question, this is going to depend on the question. If it's a continuity and change question, what stayed the same, what changed, well, you have to answer both aspects of that. What stayed the same and what was different about it. If it's a cause-effect, you have to do cause and effect. Similarity, difference, that kind of thing. If it's a question that, if asking you to evaluate, that's where you would say something like "on the other hand," and I think we've been doing that pretty well all year. Some teachers believe that this is the hardest part. I don't think so. I think you've been trained well enough that this should be we should do pretty well on this. So that's the rubric in a nutshell. I'm going to share this with you so you can take a look at it. We'll be talking about this in much greater depth, but this just came out this week since we last met, so I thought it was appropriate to share my initial thoughts with it. I also have a meeting tonight with some of my colleagues from the reading, so hopefully I'll have some. They're very good. They're 8-push teachers, but the stuff still applies. So we'll have some ideas there. Now, and regarding what's going on today. One of the things that I'm going to ask you to do is, I'm going to be sharing this with you, is we subscribe to a thing called NBC Learn. And this is the directions for you to access NBC Learn videos that I'm sharing with you right here. And you see there's a registration code. Works pretty simply. The other part of it, and I guess you can't see this, but I have all I really want you to do is there's a PowerPoint that discusses the fall of communism. Scan through that pretty quickly, and then in the order that I have them, please go through and watch these videos. This is all of these total are probably a half hour. There's no other assignment. I'm just asking you to watch videos. The first 2 are on YouTube. The rest of them, and these are all like 2 and 3 minute clips, dealing with the end of the Cold War, Yugoslavia, and the breakup of the Soviet Union. And those are in NBC Learn. So, go to the NBC Learn site, create an account, use that code, then you'll have full access to this. So, lastly, we are meeting via Zoom on Tuesday. Remember, the 40 question people, questions 1, 2, and 3 are going to present, so make sure that's shared with me. The 20 question people, questions 1, 2, and 3 will share with me. You will, if you're called, you will do the talking. I will manipulate the PowerPoint, and we'll have as close to a classroom setting as we can. No other assignments over the weekend. Just take a look at those videos on your own. Please check Skyward. I graded some stuff. There's a number of you who have not turned things in. If you got a 0 on something, it's because I didn't see it. It wasn't there. It wasn't turned in on at the appropriate time. I'm not taking, we're accepting late work, but, some of this stuff needs to get taken care of. So, please do that. So, lastly, enjoy your weekend. If you're celebrating the holiday, enjoy. You won't hear from me again until Tuesday morning at 9:30 is our Zoom meeting. Take care.